Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia.
Yeah, me too.
I will take you on a journey across the universe.
I have two monitors.
Shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
I'm not sure what it's doing. Can you see it? Did it pop up live?
Yeah, it's up. Yep.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, broadcasting from an unknown location in the universe. We are three today. Today we have Kate is with us, and Hayden is with us, and of course Iggy's with us. So we're all here live on Zoom and Facebook, streaming right along. Hopefully you can watch the show with us. Hopefully you can stick around with us for the next hour or so. Should be fun, as long as I don't get distracted by my Facebook feed. I'll be okay. I'll let Hayden take a look at that, answer questions, and say hi to people. I'll stay on the Zoom app so I don't get lost. But clear my throat here. All right, everybody. Somebody knocking?
Yeah, Betsy's knocking. It started, Betsy. Yeah, I'll show you how to get on later.
Should I knock back?
I'll help you when I'm done.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna light a candle here. This is our ancestral candle. This is the candle we light to give thanks to all our ancestors and all the people who have been in our lives and people who are still in our lives, giving thanks to them, especially in this time where we're really being challenged, in many different ways. Sometimes we can't even explain, but we are in a great change, that's for sure. And I just ask the spirit guide the three of us in the right direction to share what we need to share and just say what we need to say, feel what we need to feel, and just be honest and concise and to the point. And if Hayden's open for wanting to read cards later, he can. I brought my cards just in case. I brought my Shaman Oracle cards. Kate, I don't know what your intentions would be. We'll figure it out as we go. But yeah, so this candle's to remember the people who have been before us, because one day we will be the ancestors and we'll be the ones that people will pay tribute to and give thanks to. So we'll light this candle during the show. We'll light a little bit of sage, clear my throat here. This sage is from my garden. Just clear and move the space, move the energy. Just make us feel really good. You have some of the plants. Did the sage make it or no?
Yeah, the sage is doing really well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, the sage that you gave me didn't make it, but
yeah.
I have some common sage that did pretty well. Yeah. I'm
Good,
trying some out right now.
A little agua florida to kind of cool us down a little bit. All right, nice. Now ready to go. All right, so those of you who are tuning in on Facebook, if you have any questions for us, we are here to answer them the best of our ability. But today our topic today is just being us under the circumstances that we are under. So I know that Mother Earth and humanity has put us all in a special situation, and we're all trying to work together in this process that we call being human beings on this planet, being human doings in the same process. So let's start with Kate real quick, since you were on the other day, Hayden. We'll give you a chance to interject some more stuff. But Kate, I want to propose to you, and I just kind of want to ask you how you been, what you been up to. I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, isn't it?
There's no short answer to that. I think for me, it depends sort of on the day. And I think I've gone through the whole range of emotions. Some days I feel very grounded, very centered, very okay. Other days are more challenging and more difficult. As we move into space. There's a psychology of, I think, being like in your space all of the time that we're all being confronted with right now. And on top of that, just trying to be connected to the other people in my life, trying to care for the other people in my life, and having people who are also who have had loved ones who have gotten very sick, who have had loved ones who have passed in the last few weeks, and trying to, I guess, be in touch with the reality of that space. And so I'm just letting myself feel what I feel, whatever that is. Sometimes it's a whole range of things in one given day, but just trying to be honest with myself in that space.
Okay. Well, how about you, Hayden? I know maybe things have shifted a little bit just in the last few days that we did the last show.
Yeah, I definitely have felt like there's been a shift. I was very focused on myself for a while there, like kind of struggling with my my own stuff, you know. And I kind of started thinking about like what my long-term goals are, like where do I want to see myself like in the future, and you know, what do I want out of my life, you know. And so that involves other people, you know, and that involves working with other people and helping other people as much as I can. And I realized that I've kind of been pretty self-centered a lot of times in my life. So I'm making efforts to kind of reach out more and focus on developing something that will create more for others, not just me, you know. So
sure.
Yeah,
absolutely, I get that. Yeah, it's very different times, isn't it? I know I started out like in the last show. I don't know if you were there, Kate, on when you were listening in or not, but I started out 2020 like with a really big, huge goals, you know, to do inner work, but also do outer work, you know, physical work, the part of my body, you know, work on my physical part of my being as well. And everything was going right along, and Hayden's been involved in that process, filming videos with me and stuff. And, you know, we did the swimming and the trampoline thing. That was actually pretty fun.
That was so fun.
But, you know, that all took a back seat to some degree because of the seriousness of what was at hand. I didn't feel, you know, I'm still working out. I'm still doing some. I'm checking in with everybody. So I don't want anybody to think that I've quit or whatever. But I stepped back from that because I'm like, well, this isn't really time, because I kind of have a comedic sense to what I do and the work I do. So I didn't really want to offend anybody. I didn't want anybody to get, you know, take it wrong. So I stopped doing the videos. And the only reason I stopped the videos is because I felt it was appropriate for the time to just cut it back a little bit and think about some other things, you know, and put together some other ideas. And so I've been working on some ideas and doing some things. And actually, I think I've done more radio shows since I've been in this quarantine than I have probably in the last year or two. You know, one right after another, 2 or 3 days break or whatever. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. It's been a big test. It's really been hard for me because I'm not one of those people who likes to really be cooped in and cooped up a little bit. But I'm hanging in there like everybody. I'm doing good. I'm trying to get out of this like everybody else, trying to come out of it alive, you know. Survive.
Yeah.
So Kate, I'm curious. The other day you had a bunch of feathers pop up in your house.
Yes.
And there were some people who were asking me to ask you about that. So they wanted to see what you thought about that.
It was really interesting. Before the feathers came out, I actually dreamed about it. And I had a dream the night previous, and in the dream, I found feathers. Okay. And I was at the end of the dream. I don't remember the whole thing, but at the end of the dream, it was very, very vivid. And I was inside like almost like a concrete. The inside looked concrete, almost like a school or a dorm, like a college dorm. Like it had that kind of like a vibe to it. And there were lots of people walking through the hallways. And I came upon this really beautiful feather. It was really dark, like black, and it was iridescent, like with greens and blues in it. And it was really, really beautiful. And I picked it up. I remember vividly really picking it up and carrying it with me. And I woke up. And that morning, it was Saturday morning. So I was going to do a really fast run to the grocery store for a few things. And I walked out to my car, And I went to get in the car, and there were feathers completely lining the door. And you have like that moment where you pause and you're like, wait a minute, like what's going on? There's something's sort of amiss. And then as I started to look around, there were feathers all over the ground, all over the top of the car, all over my windshield. Like there were so many feathers. So I collected as many as I could, and they're here.
Okay.
It was very interesting. I mean, you sort of got my live text of the experience. For it to coincide with the dream in the way that it did felt very much like a message to me. It did feel positive to me. I didn't feel anything negative in that space. It felt actually very, very positive. It felt affirming in many ways. Pairing with the dreams, I found it very interesting. I'm still sort of processing that and trying to figure out exactly what it means for me. But it did feel very positive.
Good. That's good. I don't know, Hayden, did you have any kind of experiences like that? Just kind of something really just seemed random, just kind of blow up in your space, or?
Yeah. I actually went into the park yesterday, and I was sitting on a bench, and I was just kind of sitting in nature for like a good hour and a half, maybe, just kind of sitting there, enjoying, meditating, connecting with the space and stuff. And I was just kind of letting my thoughts drift, and, that's kind of where the shift happened, where like I realized that I need to sort of reach out to people more. I realized that in relationships, friendships, and also partners, I always had a hard time being honest with them, like even if I knew it was going to hurt them in some way. So I had a tendency to kind of like back out of relationships when something hard came up. And I was like, oh, I don't feel comfortable like addressing this problem, or like I just would avoid it and just leave. And so I had like a thought, like I just need to be honest with her and just share how I feel. I was thinking about my girlfriend, and because it's scary, like when the risks are high, you don't want to hurt your partner or anything, but you have to be honest. And as soon as I like thought that, a hawk like flew like down like over my head, not super close, but it was there. I noticed out of the corner of my eye. I was like, all right, thank you, like spirit, for confirming that. And I talked to her about it, and she was very like accepting and loving, and it was a lot less traumatic than what I thought it was going to be. Like we get conditioned from past experiences where we said something that was difficult to say to somebody, and then it blows up, and then we think that it's going to be the same every time. But that's not always the case, and we have to be able to feel comfortable with ourselves, even if that does happen. But it was nice to have that change of pace and know that it's okay, that I'm safe to talk to my partner about things that are hard. That's what they're there for, to work together as a team. And that was a powerful transformation for me to have that experience that was different, because then I realized all the relationships and friendships that I had let go of or moved out of because of trivial things that I felt like I couldn't handle, or, didn't want to have the difficult conversation. So today I spent the whole day just reaching out to old friends that I kind of drifted away from or lost contact with. And just realizing that those relationships are important to keep and to nourish. It's awesome to take care of.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Today before the show, which was kind of funny, I was because I was running frantic earlier, Kate. Trust me. If it wasn't for Hayden, he got me through it, because I was like, what button should I push? Where should I push? My fingers were like, my hands were like, I had a third hand. I don't know where it came from. I was just like, we finally figured it out, how to stream through from Zoom to Facebook, which is kind of nice. He goes, Julie North is on there, so we can do it.
Yeah.
It was funny. So I was laughing. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
I love that.
And then, I was like, my hair was all messed up. I looked like the mad scientist, didn't I?
You look a little scruffy. Yeah.
I was like, man, but we made it.
Yeah.
That's part of the learning curve. But
yeah.
But before I got on the air, I got on I have this vibrating like platform thing that shakes you. It's good for your lymphatics and helps your muscles contract and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I put my new little headphones on, not these, but another one. And then I pushed the button, and my dad's favorite song came on.
Oh, wow.
That's
Come
so
on, Eileen.
special.
Dun, dun, dun. And I wasn't sad. I was just like,
Oh,
I was
man.
just like pointing, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. And I'm looking out the window, and the sun was bright through the basement window, like bright. You couldn't even see it. And I was like, well, that was cool. That was awesome. So that was kind of what calmed me down to do the show. So that was pretty neat. That was a nice confirmation that your ancestors are around. So that's why I make it a point now to light a candle and give thanks to the people who trailblazed, for my existence personally and my family's existence and my brothers and sisters, and we're here because of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why that was my
wonderful.
magical moment for today. Besides Hayden saving my ass, because I would have been doing it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Who says you can't teach an old shaman new tricks, right? So for those of you guys who don't know my friends here, they're also learning, and they're kind of going through some of the coursework. They're my students. I don't like the word student, but they're fellow journey men and women on this trip with me. And I just happen to know a few things, and I'm teaching them these new things as they are teaching me. So we're good teachers for one another, and we're sharing with each other our experiences, our feelings, our hearts, our emotions, and frustrations. And right now, being on this journey is probably really interesting because everything that we were trained or training to do is about this kind of work. It's about being in solitude. It's about being quiet. It's about being to do the inner work, going into our deepest core thoughts. And this is a great shamanic place to be right now. It's a very powerful moment in time. If you want to know what a shaman does when he's by himself or she's by themselves, this is what they do. They're in solitude. They're listening because they have to regather themselves in order for them to be able to journey and travel with other people and then come back. So this is, for me, this is kind of like what I do and the same thing, but it's like amplified now. So the amplification of being, in more solitude and being, quiet. And for me, quiet is good because I run, my energy runs high. So, but this is what it's like sitting in that cave or in that yurt somewhere around the world and just, eating your beans and rice and just chilling, So what do you guys think about what's going on today? I mean, there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening right now, and either one of you can jump in here in a second. There's a lot happening, and there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of information, and I think, if anything, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that's being thrown at us. Don't be shy, guys.
Do you want to go for it, Kate?
I'm processing the question.
As she's pondering my long-winded question. Come on. No pressure. And let's do the Brady Bunch thing real quick, right? Okay. All right.
That's hilarious.
I wanted to do that. We just need like a fourth person, make it right. All right, Hayden, take us on a trip, Hayden.
Okay, sure. So as far as
we'll come back to Kate.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information and stuff you're saying. How do I feel about the whole situation right now?
I mean, we're being bombarded with conspiracy, virus, all kinds of stuff, information overload.
Yeah.
You don't even know what's true, what to believe, what's fake, what's not fake,
Yeah. Well, I think it's like basically taking everything that we have known for a long time and just shaking it all up into a bottle and like not really knowing what pieces and parts are going to end up in what part of the bottle when it's done shaking, like where something on the bottom will end up on the top, something in the middle might stay in the middle, something in the middle might end up on the bottom. It's like, who knows? And I think it's a good thing. On the greater scheme of things, I think if you look at little pockets, it's going to be difficult for some people. But I think I think it's good for the evolution of humans on a greater scale, because I think when things stay the same for so long and nothing really happens to disrupt the normal process of things,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be something that disrupts or an opportunity for growth. That's how I've seen my life. It's basically that, like, there's sort of a tension that builds up with certain issues in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't notice them. And then there's a threshold where I have the awareness to be able to deal with it. And then an event happens that triggers basically an opportunity for me to move forward or to stay in that same pattern. And, that's sort of what I see with this is there's been a lot of change happening over time. The internet was a huge innovation. There's like kids like my age who have a completely different operating system than the older generations. I mean, that's always the case, but especially now, I think it's particularly a different operating system that we're sort of switching into.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's listened to Julie North had a seminar that I listened to, and then she was sort of talking about this, and I definitely agree with what she was saying, which is sort of what I've been mentioning, that we're kind of moving into a new wave of how we're going to operate in the world. And I think this is just something to facilitate that process. I don't know if it's like divine intervention that this is like, it's made it happen, but I think that it's an opportunity for us to make some changes and to reconsider sort of where we're going in the future.
Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Kate, you're up. What do you think?
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what Hayden just said. I think that there is a lot of disruption happening right now, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and there's a lot of change and transition that's happening right now. Even the experience of being at home and being in our own spaces, there's that personal transformation that's happening for a lot of people, and the opportunity to kind of look at ourselves in different ways and do some of that introspective work. So I guess I'm very thoughtful in that regard, but at the same time, there's the balance of the reality of what's happening in many places in the world, many places in our community, in our country, and even to our neighbors right now, where there are folks who are ill, there are folks who have passed away, there are families who are grieving, there are people who had jobs who now maybe are in a different economic space. There are people that are going through that kind of grief and transition right now too. So I suppose I'm also just trying to be grounded in the reality of what's happening in a lot of people's lives right now that is also very difficult and very challenging, and how I can, I guess, just trying to find the balance in that.
Okay, very
Does that make
good.
sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Interesting. I like where you guys are coming from. I can feel what you're trying to express and what you're expressing, and I appreciate that. Hey, I have a question. Has anybody posed a question on Facebook there? Has anybody said?
Let's see. As a whole nation. So Ronnie's asking, as a whole nation, how would you all say this pandemic has changed us? What are some positive takeaways that we can apply to our daily lives when this is over? Finally, what has being socially distanced for everyone, your loved ones and friends, taught you?
That's a good question. I think initially, when we get the okay button to come back to whatever we thought our lives were going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of hesitation still. I really believe that I'm not saying everybody's going to be like that, but I believe there's going to be a little hesitation where we're going to be still practicing a little bit more social distancing than like we didn't do before. And I think there's going to be some aspects that will carry through. Maybe we'll wash our hands more often. Maybe we'll clean things. Maybe we'll do things a little differently. Part of me believes that will happen for a moment, and then some things will go back to normal, because there's something about human contact, touch, shake. The handshake will be different from now on. I think you can offer a handshake or not offer a handshake. I don't know how that's going to play out in the business world, where we're used to putting our hand out and shaking, you know, someone's hand. Those are things I think could be affected. As a nation, I think every age group, you know, every generational group is going to approach this differently, in my opinion, personally. I think the younger folks will be a little bit more, I think, a little more freer about it, but not as much as I think, because actually there's some of the young people that I run into are very like, where's your mask? Where's your gloves? Blah, blah, blah. You know, so that's kind of like, it depends where you're at. And like the older group, you know, for me, like myself, people in my group, we're a little bit kind of half and half, you know. Some of us will wear it, some of us won't, because we're kind of defiant kind of a group to begin with. So that's kind of my take and about what may happen after this is over. I think there's going to be a lot of concern in people's minds. I think people are still going to be a little bit skeptical that it's actually gone. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a complete. It's not going to be, oh no, it's done. We're done. No more. You know, it's not going to. I don't think it's that easy. That was my poor attempt to be in the president of the United States.
Yeah, I gathered that. It was funny.
Better Yoda. Go ahead. So let's build on that. Let's see. What do you think? What do you guys think? Because you're living it.
Yeah.
What's your observations?
Like what the long-term effects are going to be, or like, yeah.
What do you think long-term effects might be? Kate?
I agree. It's going to take time. I think it's going to take time in a lot of ways. I think as we come out of this process, we're going to come out of it in a slow way. I don't think that it's going to be, we wake up one day and everything goes back to normal, so to speak, and people go back to their jobs and we're able to sit in drum circles with each other, or even be able to hug each other. And for me, I think I've gone through this process of, I'm naturally rather introverted. So there's a piece of me that kind of is enjoying this in some way, not in, and I feel like that's not even the right word to use because of what's actually happening in a broader sense. But like being in my own space, I feel a degree of comfort in that zone. But not being able to hug other people is really a wild thing, and has been a really hard thing for me to wrap my head around. I think it'll happen slowly, and I think that even once we maybe get into a space where we have those opportunities to be with each other again, there's going to be a psychology that we're all going to have to work through.
Yeah, I can see
where
that.
we start to feel comfortable and feel safe in those spaces again, and where we feel comfortable shaking hands with each other, where we feel comfortable hugging each other again. And I think that will be a process for a lot of people.
What do you think, Hayden?
I don't know if I answered the question or not.
No, I mean, you gave what you thought was how you see it, how you feel at the moment. So yeah. What about you, Hayden? What do you think? What do you feel?
Well, I'm gonna read the question real quick again. Ronnie's question.
He changed it. He changed it.
Oh, I'll read it aloud again. So as a whole nation, how would you all say this pandemic has changed us? What are some positive takeaways that can apply to our daily lives when this is over? And finally, what has being socially distanced for everyone been like, or what has it taught you? Okay. So I'll start with what it's taught me.
Okay.
I talked about this a little bit in the last show, but I'll go over it again real quick. I think when we're busy, we have the ability to like avoid some of the things that are in our minds. And we don't realize that they're there. When there's nothing to distract us, it all comes to the surface. And so you're like, what are these things doing here? And what do I do with them?
Right.
So there's kind of that sort of, oh shit moment. And you have to sort of start to juggle things that you didn't think you had to juggle before. So I learned how to sort of look at those things honestly and sort of start to integrate those to some degree. I mean, there's always more, it's always deeper, but it was nice to sort of get in touch with some of the stuff that I wasn't in touch with because of the distractions. So that's kind of what I've learned from being isolated from other people. There's no distractions. As far as how the pandemic has changed us, I think it makes the world feel like small in some ways because everybody's affected. So everybody in the world is going through this. That's like my perspective, and just I think it's mixing up everything. Like everything's going to be different afterwards. I'm hoping that people will help the people that are in need, and they'll be considerate because it's not their fault that all this happened, and it usually hits the poor demographics harder than people who have established bank accounts and stuff like that. So I hope that people are in need, that they'll be taken care of. And positive takeaways that we can apply to our daily lives when this is over. Wash your hands, I guess.
Wash your feet.
Yeah.
Wash everything, because some people probably haven't washed anything for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be devil's advocate. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys just be bluntly honest with me.
Sure.
I'm not going to take offense to anything. And people in the studio audience, all clapping. No, people on Facebook, if you have questions for us, please ask us. We'll be glad to answer them. And if you have something that you want to share and us have a little conversation about, we can as well. This is an interactive show. This is your show. This is for you guys to vent and feel what you need to feel. Okay, so I'm going to say some things, and I just want you guys to don't think too hard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't necessarily judge me, but I'm just asking because I want to kind of get a feel for the vibration of what is out there, because you have a whole different group of people you hang out with. Hayden, who's down here, has a whole different group of people who hangs out with, and I have a whole different group of people who hangs out with. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm here. You ready?
Yeah.
And everybody on the timeline can jump in right with me. My disclaimer is that I'm just asking questions. Okay, I'm neither pro or con. Okay, it's just me asking questions.
Okay.
Is there a virus? Is there a virus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. See how easy that was? Is there a virus? Okay. Even though we can't see it, we can only see the results and the things that are happening from it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is something out there. We three agree that there's something out there. There's something causing a little bit of havoc. I don't want to say a little bit, a lot of havoc, actually, to the world. Okay, so we agree on that. Studio audience, maybe they will respond, maybe they won't. Do you guys believe there's a virus?
Basically say yes. 2 people said yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah. All right, there's only 2 people listening to our show, but that's okay. But thank you for your response. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
5G. Is it affecting the human body?
I'll go first because Kate looks like she's thinking.
Okay. There's a lot of conspiracies about this one.
Yeah. So I think that I think it's possible that it could affect the human body. There's no way it can't affect the human body because it's a frequency that's going through your body. Whether it has a negative impact on the body or not is a different story. So, I mean, there's radio waves. There's all kinds of waves that are going through the air all the time. Some of them don't have as much of an impact on the body. I'm sure in large doses of anything, it's going to be negatively impacting your body. Like, I'm sure if you had a ton of radio waves, I don't know. I haven't done the research, but I think everything in moderation, you know? So I'm sure that on some level, 5G could be harmful to the human body. I just don't know at what levels we're going to have them and like what that entails, you know? I mean, it's not like always on my mind. Like, it's not something that's really on my mind. It's going to happen. It's kind of out of my control. Yeah, I feel like, but I can see how it could, you know, but I just don't know.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Fair question. Kate, 5G?
I
Real
think
enough?
that I share a similar perspective to Hayden. You know, they're radio waves, so on some level, that's going to affect us, right? It's something that we're introducing into our ecosystem. So I think on a certain level, we're all going to feel that, and we're all going to experience that. The degree of that, I don't know that we know yet.
Okay.
I don't know that we know what it means yet.
Yeah, no, I'm just like you guys. I don't know enough about 5G and what it can do, but I just know that every time we advance with technology, it affects us in some way. Okay, there's proven things about it.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a lot of conspiracies about 5G being something that affects the human cells and stuff, and some people are adversely being affected by it. True or not true, I don't know, because when people put information out, you don't really know where the information's coming from. You're hoping
Right.
that the information is legit. And if you're not necessarily part of that network or involved in that field, it's really makes it really difficult. And even if you do research, you don't know where the research is coming from. You don't even know where, because there's so much stuff. But it's really fascinating, though. It is a fascinating topic
Yeah.
to study and
Yeah,
learn.
absolutely.
I read it and I watch it. And I don't discount it, because I'm going inside that conglomerate of information that's being pumped to me. Some of it's true, not all of it, but some part of it is factual. Okay.
Yeah.
When they say it's a wave that moves and says past technology, well, that's true. We're going to have faster internet, faster blah, blah, blah. That's true. Okay. The other aspects of, does it affect the cells of the body, blah, blah, blah. And this is why there are people who are saying that the virus is actually the people who are affected by these waves, these 5G waves that their body can't handle, and they has to expel it. Just talking. Remember, devil's advocate. Don't beat me up here.
Right.
I'm just putting it out there because I find it very fascinating, and I find it very interesting, because a lot of movies are going to come from this. There's going to be a lot of movies. Okay, after this is over.
Yeah. I mean, I could discount that theory right now just by like simple, statistics, Yeah. Cause like if the 5G was like the result of, or if the virus was the result of people experiencing 5G, then you wouldn't see like the statistical trend of like it spreading from like one country to another one. It would be like wherever the 5G nodes were, it wouldn't spread like it's not spreading like from the nodes where the 5G is coming from. It's spreading like a virus, So if you look at the data, it's not going to match up with like where the 5G like just I don't know.
Now
Sensors
Wuhan
are,
supposedly, from what I'm reading,
Yeah.
God knows where that information comes from.
Yeah.
Wuhan is actually a 5G city where they have 5G. They use 5G very prominently.
Yeah.
Now the question is going to be, when people go back and they're back into the normal lives, and when they turn the 5G on or whatever they did, will it happen again? See, because you got the scientific method, and you got all this stuff. You got to prove all these theories. You got to do all this stuff. So it's interesting. I find it interesting. Could we have agitated the viruses with these frequencies? That's a good question. We don't know. Cause them to go a little bit rampant, go a little bit crazy, a little bit nuts. Who knows? Devil's advocate. I'm just devil's advocate here. I'm just putting it out. I'm trying to make us think.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to go down a rabbit hole, but
rabbit holes are fun sometimes.
Yeah.
As long as the snake doesn't come down through there, we're good. And there's a second outlet. All right, Kate, you're kind of quiet over there.
Yeah, no, I think just from I don't know, from everything that I've read about the virus, it's very similar to other viruses that have emerged and have emerged naturally. I don't think that it's the cause. I don't think 5G is the cause of the virus. I think the virus is probably natural in origin. I don't know. Is the virus being agitated by 5G? I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily have the data to prove that or not. I find a lot of these theories really interesting. And one thing that sort of jumps out to me is I think sometimes, and not to say that it is accurate or inaccurate, because I don't know that we have the data to really say one way or the other, but it also gives us an element of control. Because if we could say it's 5G that's doing this, and if we just turned off the 5G, then this wouldn't be happening. It gives us an element of control in a space that is very unknown, and in a space that we don't have a lot of control. So I kind of wonder too if maybe there's an element of that sometimes maybe there's a piece of that in there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting, very fascinating. Okay, and I get it, and a lot of people have responded yes, and they probably, I'm sure they all have their reasons or their answers. But we're kind of just have this little panel. We're kind of answering questions for you. If someone wants to send us information, that's fine. That's cool. No problem. I personally don't know. I know there's something out there lurking in the dark, moving around and affecting people. I don't know. Really don't know about that. So we'll move on to the next question. Social distancing. Good, bad, what? I mean, is it going overboard? Are we overboard, or is it something that we should be really doing, practicing?
Well, I don't think there's a should. I think it's like it's a matter of consequences. So there's okay, you enjoy your life and like it's nice to hang out with friends, or like it causes more spread of the disease and causes more consequences for other people possibly. Okay. So I don't think there's necessarily like a right or wrong. It's more like, do you want to affect other people in a negative way, or do you want to act sort of selfishly in that respect because it could harm other people and, live your life the way you want to live it. So I think it's a matter of like considering your community and your environment, or just ignoring the potential risks and just going for it. That's the choice of the individual because they have that choice. But I would hope that people would think about the community before they did something that would put others at risk. So.
Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of phrasing that, Hayden. That it's really about the consequences. I think one of the really tricky things about this particular virus is that it's a new virus, and we don't really have a lot of other treatment methods for it. So the social distancing is one of the only tools we have, and one of the most effective tools. And I think that you're very right in the regard that it's really about choices and what outcomes we want to see in our community and in even our small circles and in the people that we love. I think about my mom, and she's in her 70s, and boy, we've had some intense conversations about her not wanting to stay at home at all in any way, shape, or form. But she's come around. But I think about her, and I think about her and where she's at, and the potential risks to her and to other loved ones in my life. So I agree. I think it's really about choices and consequences.
Yeah, and in any pandemic that ever has happened in the world, social distancing was actually one of the first things that they actually did. It was one of the things that was actually very required. Plus, nobody really wanted to be around anybody in case they had it. Yeah. So it was like, well, I want to stay at my house. I don't know about you, but I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
But what about the grocery store clerk? What about the person who stocks their shelves? Should they be working? Should there be a better system in order to purchase food? I mean, these people are putting their lives at risk, just like doctors and nurses. Is there a solution? Is there a better idea?
That's tough. I mean, my girlfriend's going to be working at Kroger here soon. So like
every day you have potential that she could bring it home to you.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't get to see her, but
I like that excuse.
Yeah, we're social distancing, so right now it's a long distance relationship, but
it's a good question.
Yeah,
these people. I mean, because nothing against doctors and nurses, because they that's a gimme. We already know that they already sacrifice and they're in the front lines, and I get that. But we forget about the other people sometimes. We don't. It's not a glorified job. Right now, it's pretty up there. That person who stocks your shelf, that person who's at the register, I think we need to have a better way of protecting them and protecting ourselves, because people are just going through these stores and, and everything's just getting, even the small amount, you don't need 100 people to just pass. It only takes one person. Yeah. I went to Home Depot today, and they have a clicker, and they were counting how many people were in the store. They weren't going to let 100 people in the store. And if you want to go in the store, you had to wait till somebody come out. And then they sprayed the hell out of all the carts with this bleach stuff. And when I touched it, it was all wet. I'm going, great. I'm like, and so I'm walking through the store, and I'm thinking, man, they have these cameras and these misters that are like spraying on things. And it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was odd.
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer because people inevitably need access to food.
Mm-hmm.
Critical to our health, critical to our lives, critical to well-being. But the risk that the folks who are working in our grocery stores, and I have just such tremendous respect for all of the folks who are doing that work and get up every day and are there really and caring for so many of us. Should we be doing everything we can to protect them? Absolutely, we should. And I think I link back then to the social distancing, even in a way that, you know, we have to, when we are going to the grocery store, it's important to only go when it's necessary and make it very quick and do what we can to protect those folks, because by staying away, we're also protecting them and reducing the risk of transmission to those folks. And also just everybody be so kind when you're in the stores. Those folks are under so much pressure, so much pressure, and they're doing an extraordinary job, and they're showing up every day so that so many people have access to food and can eat, and that is tremendous. And I agree with you. We should be doing everything we can to protect them and take care for them. You know, the folks who are working in gas stations as well, and the truck drivers who are bringing in food. And there are so many people who are giving so much right now to take care of the rest of us. And it's, I think about them every morning. I really do. And I include them in my prayers every single morning, because I think it's extraordinary what they're doing, and we should be protecting them. Yes.
Good. Yeah. For those of you who are listening and you work in a store, thank you very much. I want to thank you for doing your part in this very difficult time. And a lot of you have to be there because you have to pay your bills and you have to take care of things and you have to eat. And, you know, I totally get that. So, and I feel really bad for a lot of companies and a lot of businesses that had to shut their doors, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these some small businesses may not come back, not able to survive, you know, and I feel really bad. You know, for a lot of these families, especially family-owned businesses and stuff, how they're going to be affected. And, you know, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. But next question. Do you think our government is doing a good job? Do you think we could do better? What would you suggest that they do? And put politics aside. So don't put the politics in it. Think about it in a way as humans. Are they doing the right thing for us? Are they?
I honestly don't feel comfortable answering that question, because, like,
I said government, so I didn't say it could be any government.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't feel comfortable, like, making judgments as to how they're running things, because I don't know the logistics and all of the things that go into doing what they're doing.
Okay.
Based on my experience, like, judging something from the outside, not being on the inside, you're always going to miss something, and you're always going to sort of miss the mark and sort of, I don't know, be judgmental and realize that it's a lot harder than what it seems. So it's like, oh, it's so easy. Like, why don't they just do this? But there's like a whole set of different things that's involved that, like, prevents them from doing it. And that's just from being at work. Like, I have an example, like, you know, when a boss seems lazy and they're, like, always in the back office. And then I started to be trained for a manager position in that restaurant. And I realized all the work that was involved with, like, a management position. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's why the manager was in the back so much, because they had all this paperwork that they do, you know. But here I was with my crew and us, and we're like, oh man, like, he's so lazy. Like, why doesn't he come out and help us? You know, so that was, like, my perception, because I didn't understand the roles that needed to be filled and his duties. And it's kind of on the responsibility too of the manager to, like, sort of let people know, like, what his job is, so the crew knows. So that's kind of his responsibility. He didn't do that well, but still, that lesson has kind of stuck with me. So when I don't really understand the full logistics of how things are implemented, I look and see what's happening. I think they're doing the best they can. Like, I think there's a lot of really, like, top-notch experts. Like, this is the biggest crisis in, like, the past, like, 100 years, probably, other than, like, in the 1920s. I think there's the Great Depression, you know? But I think everybody that can possibly be on this project is on the project. So I'm sure, like, whatever can be done is being done. And if they're making mistakes, I'm sure they're trying to fix them as quick as possible. That's my theory, you know?
That's a fantastic answer.
Thanks.
What about you, Kate?
You know, I think it's really difficult to have a good answer to that question. And, you know, hindsight's always 2020. So it's really easy to sit here today and say, somebody should have done this or we should have done that.
Right.
I don't know if there's a lot of value in that conversation, or at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the situation is what it is today. And I don't know, when I feel myself get drawn into that, when I start to have those feelings, and, you know, you had like the frustration and the anger and all of those things, is it really what I'm projecting, or is it more about me and not having maybe the control or the fear of the unknown that I'm having?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think it's, for myself, I just continue to try to think about and focus on what's happening today. What can we do with the situation that we're in? How do we best manage that situation? How do we best manage it for our own selves, for the people that we care about, for our community? And are there things that me as an individual in this small space that I'm in can actively do each day to make a difference in that space,
Mm-hmm.
and to help make the situation better? And I think focusing on the path forward and how we manage the situation as it is, so that we can have the best outcome possible for our communities and our loved ones, feels like a more valuable use of my time than to think about what we could have or should have done. I guess that's where I'm at.
I like both your guys' response, which is good, actually, because, you know, good valid points, because if you're not in the club, you don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
You can't,
Yeah.
you don't know what was going on, but unfortunately there are people who just throw their mud on the wall, you know, and they get really upset because they want answers and they want to get back to work. I get that.
Yeah.
But you know
That's
what?
valid.
Here's the thing, you know, I'm going to say that most leaders and most people who are in the position of authority right now are doing whatever the hell they can to make sure that they stay alive and you stay alive. Okay. Because it's important for everybody. I would think it'd be ridiculous if someone thought that, you know, that governments want to do away with people or kill people, you know, or, you know, thin the population, you know, theories that have been out there. I think I've had those conversations with people, you know, where certain countries would do that. But I really believe that most of the people who are in the positions they are probably just as feel what we feel. Man, what the hell's going on? What do I tell somebody? I need to be on the air, blah, blah, blah. Who knows what they're going through? You know, Governor DeWine, the president, you know, the prime minister of that country, prime minister of this country. In my country, it's lockdown, man. It's like, there's no, they don't mess around. Like you go to work at 8, you're allowed from 5 in the morning to 8 at night. You do your work. Okay. And then it's lockdown 5 a.m. to, you know, I mean, from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. You're not allowed out the house for nothing. Then now they've broken down where they have 3 days for the males to go and do whatever they do. And then the females 2 days. And then Sunday, nobody's allowed out of the house, period. You're not allowed out of the house. So that's how Peru's handling it. And I think they've only had 52 deaths out of 28 million people. And so I'm not sure how many people were infected or whatever, but they're trying things and they're doing the best they can. Mm-hmm. And I think it's on our part to do our part. Like you're saying, social distancing, washing our hands, you know, doing all the things that if we play our part, we do our part, then this thing goes away a little quicker, a little faster. You know?
Yeah.
So my next question, how long do you think this is going to last? I mean, what you feel in your gut?
It's going to be a while. It's not going to go away. Like
2 months, 3 months, 6 months,
yeah,
18 months.
My, one of my cousins is she's a biochemist, or I forget exactly what her position is, but she's worked with like biological warfare and stuff like that. So she understands sort of what diseases can do and sort of what the protocols are for keeping people safe. And she was talking to my dad, and he was telling me that basically, so there's the initial quarantine aspect of like making sure that not too many people get sick. But then there's the aftermath aspect where like some people have gotten through the virus. They're immune to the virus in theory, because you have the immunity, the antibodies built up. But then there's a whole population that's not immune because they haven't been infected by the virus and they haven't gone through it.
Okay.
And so it's like you have to basically figure out like what population has gone through and like can still interact, and then the other population that hasn't had those viruses yet are at risk still. So they can't really they still basically have to social distance. The other ones are going to be fine. They can go back to normal life, essentially. So there's like a reintegration process that takes a while until there's like a vaccine. And I like walk by the TV because the TV is always on at our house. And so I walked by the TV and I heard that they were going to try to use the plasma from people who have gone through the virus to get the antibodies from them, and basically give that to other people so they can have the immunity or fight the virus more quickly. Okay. So I think they're trying to find ways to quicken the process of healing, and also maybe develop a system where people can be reintegrated quicker, because I think they sort of got a handle on like the whole quarantine aspect, but I think most likely the professionals are thinking about like, okay, we did the quarantine thing, now how are we going to reintegrate people into society? So I think that's sort of what they're talking about now. That would be my guess as to what they're trying to figure out at this point.
Okay, very good. What about you, Kate?
I think it'll be a while. How long this staying at home the way that we are right now will last, I'm not entirely sure, but this is going to be a process. And I think that they've been pretty transparent about that, at least at the state level, that this is going to be a staged process, because even once we see incidences of the virus go down because of the social distancing, a lot of that is going to be because of the social distancing. So you have to be really careful. I think it's going to be a really careful process so that we don't see people start getting sick again, and how they manage that will probably take a good bit of time, and it's probably going to be a slow process, and it may be a process that sort of ebbs and flows over time.
So would you guys take the vaccine for the virus if it was available?
It's a good question. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'd want to see like the research studies done on it, what the efficacy is, the safety, allergies and interactions and all of that. But as long as all of that felt good to me, I wouldn't have a problem with the vaccine.
Yeah, it's really hard to gauge, on if it works or doesn't work. That's like, this is new information that I just heard that Hayden just passed along. And I kind of put things on Facebook just to see and where people are with to take a vaccine or whatever. There's been a lot of no's. A lot of people are really skeptical about taking. Of course, I have a lot of my friends are drummers, and we're a bunch of old hippies, and we're a little skeptical of things, and maybe we have a reason, but I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's one of the things that just plays out. I haven't made a decision on yes or no on that yet. It all really depends. If I think what I would probably do first is would test myself and see if I have the antibodies or whatever, or the immunity to it, before I just take a shot. I would probably get tested, make sure I don't have it or didn't carry it, because I guess they can test you now if you had it, to see if you had it. Yeah. So I think I would do that prior to taking any vaccine. I think I would do the steps, like you said, Kate. Go take the steps, gather the information, and go from there. So we have any other questions on online there?
I'd have to scroll up here. Let's see. Ronnie had some more questions. Okay. Thoughts on how the media portrays the virus, as well as the toilet paper hoarding and other supplies. And what are the thoughts on the origin of it and how people buy things just to buy? Last, should food carryouts be open to the public, and is it really safe in the end?
It's a Garcia question, isn't it? That was Garcia's. I'm lost in the question.
There were a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Roddy.
So thoughts on the media portraying the
thoughts on the
virus,
media.
and
Okay,
then the toilet paper,
Okay.
and other supplies buying out, and
All
what's
right.
the origin of that, and
I'll
then carry out food. So we
I'll
can
start-
start with
I'll
one
start.
of them. Yeah.
The only thing that really pisses me off about the media is I wish they would share a little more information about the recovery of people having, not one, there's multiple people who are better.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to dwell on the negative because we're in it, and it's so detrimental. Now, the only thing that really bothered me, really bugged me the other day, was when somebody the Surgeon General said that this is like our generation's Pearl Harbor. I was like, dude, really? I mean,
It's different.
I'm like,
That's
that's like a whole different. You're talking. I mean, that's
a
apples
can of
and
worms
oranges.
right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
a can of worms. That's loaded.
But he said that, and the media has been blasting that. This generation's Pearl Harbor, and they just posted on Yahoo again. They have a whole article on it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that one. I'm like, really? What do you guys think about that? I mean, I don't know, but I don't know.
Well, I'd have to see like what he said to know like exactly what happened. But based on what you said, like him saying that it's like Pearl Harbor, I mean, it's different. I can understand why he said that, because I think he probably didn't mean it in like a demeaning way. He probably just said like it's a really impactful, like hard experience that impacts like the globe on some level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like we lost Kate.
Oh, Kate, where'd you go? She's somewhere.
I'm coming back. I'm back. I'm back.
All right.
You disappeared again.
All right, where is she?
Oh,
Okay.
Hold on. I'm back.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay, you're back.
All right.
So I can understand like the impact, like it has a significant impact on some countries. I think Pearl Harbor, to think that it impacted the whole world, yeah, it may have, but you know, some countries probably just like we don't necessarily know about all the wars going on in different countries either, you know. We have a tendency to prioritize like what happened to us. It's like, oh, it was terrible, but it was someone attacking us, you know. This is a virus, it's different.
I think that's what they were trying to portray, that it was a sneak attack, something that, you know, we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
It's a war. I mean, for some people, this is a war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Mother Earth's children going at it, you know, and see who survives. But I think that's kind of what they were trying to portray, and I don't think it's a good analogy. I don't think, for me personally.
No, I don't think that was the best fit, but I can see where they're going. I'm sure it wasn't like negative intent, but it's kind of disrespectful in some ways. I feel like a little bit, you know, they didn't think it through probably.
Yeah.
That's just Kate? My thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Kate's down at the bottom now.
You know, it's information overload right now. There's so many different news sources, and in the age that we're in, we get information from so many different sources simultaneously that it's I don't know, at least for me, I feel like it's really easy to get overwhelmed and lost in that. So I don't know, I guess I think at this point I have like about 3 or 4 like trusted sources that I will go to, that I'll read articles on, and I try to kind of limit that and filter that to an extent, just for my own self, so that I don't feel super overwhelmed by it. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed in that space. I think, I don't know, I think the media in some regards is trying to help communicate an important message. And as Hayden said, I think that, you know, this type of a pandemic is something that's very, very different and very not necessarily something that's in the scope of any of our experience. So perhaps there's a degree of that they're trying to help people to understand how significant it could potentially be. But I do think that it's very easy to get overwhelmed, and those sorts of things elicit very specific emotions inside of people. So I don't know, I guess I'm just trying to filter it.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I believe the other question was hoarding, right?
Yeah, the toilet paper and other supplies.
Paper.
Well, my son, I know, he sent me a message. He goes, "Dad, can you send me a Walmart card? I'm out of toilet paper. I can't buy any toilet paper." I'm like, "Oh, well, you should have hoarded everybody else." But no, what do you think? People a little out of line? What? I mean,
I I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm trying to like wrap my head around like I don't understand. Like when I think like, oh, I'm going to be in my house a long time, I don't think like, oh, I'm going to buy a crap ton of toilet paper. You know, like the first thing I'm going to do is buy food. Like how much toilet paper do you need?
Yeah.
Like, what are you wiping? You know, like how much do you need to wipe? Like
they're going to be cleaning the house, huh?
Yeah. Like get some, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous. Like I maybe go through, this may be TMI. Oh, Kate's gone again. But I think maybe like, I don't know, roll of toilet paper a week per person, maybe, you know, like, I don't know, depending on how much you're pooping, you know, but
I don't know. I mean, I think people are just nervous that they're going to get stuck and they're not going to be wiped. I don't know. I don't know, Kate, what do you think?
I think it's interesting that we chose toilet paper and
No,
not
Ronnie chose toilet paper.
And other supplies, he said, but he specified toilet paper,
right. Yeah, we didn't choose water.
Go water. Of all the things to hoard, we chose toilet paper as a culture, which is kind of fascinating. And it happened globally, not just in the United States, but it happened like in Australia and it happened in other places too.
That's where I heard it too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why we like globally decided that toilet paper was the thing, I'm not sure. I think the hoarding inevitably is about fear, though, right? It's about fear, and it's about feeling like I'm going to be without this critical thing that I feel like I need. And I also think it gives people a sense of control. Again, we're like in this very unknown space, right? Yeah. Where there's this new virus, there's this sickness that people can get sick. Could this happen to me? I don't know. There are all the emotions that go into that. And I think that that hoarding gives us a sense of control. Like we're doing something about it, even if that something is getting all the toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand wanting to be like, because you want to get the supplies you need. Like if you're going to be in your house for like a month, you're like, I'm not leaving because I'm an elderly person and I don't like, it's a big risk for me. So like they want all the supplies so they don't have to leave their house. Like I understand that, you know, that's not necessarily a fear. That's just
toilet paper.
Yeah. That's like being smart, you know, for them. Cause like they're at risk population, you know? But
I agree.
Yeah.
What else went? Water disappeared for a while there. It was gone too. Water had disappeared at Walmart's.
Not like toilet paper though.
You know what's funny though? It's interesting that I found watching how this process plays out. When you go to Walmart, the shelves are pretty bare. I don't know why it is, but you go to Giant Eagle and some things are gone, but it's stocked pretty good. And I don't know if that's perception that maybe they're more expensive and, you know, who knows? But every time I go to Giant Eagle, I never have any problems. Walk in, there's toilet paper, there's eggs, there's, you know, there was a time you couldn't get any eggs either or milk. And I think they had put a hoarding ban. They were producing too much milk and they wouldn't let people buy enough milk. And now the milk producers were like saying, hey, you know what, take the ban off because we need to sell our milk because you guys are limiting people to 1 gallon or 2 gallons of milk, or people who are used to buying 5-6 gallons, you know, because they have big families. So it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting fact. We're learning a lot about ourselves and about our culture.
Yeah. About being human.
Yeah. What was the other question he asked?
Let me scroll up.
He's got some good questions.
He does. He does have some good questions. Let's see. As well as toilet paper hoarding. What are your thoughts on the origin of it and how people buy things just to buy? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Lastly, should food carryouts be open to the public, and is it really safe in the end?
All right, Kate, what do you think?
What do we mean by food carryout?
I think like restaurant takeout.
I thought they were.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, he's just. I think he's asking, should food carryouts be open to the public?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, Kate.
And is it really safe?
What do you think?
I don't think that it's any less safe than the grocery store, quite frankly. I think that for a lot of people, for a lot of families, those cooked already made meals can be really vital and can be really important. And I also think that there are a lot of people that work in those jobs who are dependent on that income, and that's also really important. And it's probably helping to keep a lot of those restaurants alive and afloat during this time. And hopefully they will be there on the other side of it so that we can all go back and have really wonderful meals there again. So I, I think that it's a good thing.
Okay.
Or at least as good as it can be given the circumstances.
Right. What do you think, Hayden?
I don't think I'm qualified to answer this question because I don't know enough about the virus to know what kind of surfaces and stuff like
I like
that.
his answers. Who's this guy?
But I think I know restaurants are taking precautionary measures. Like you do have to maintain a 6 feet distance, like while you're in the restaurant. And like, there's certain things like you can't just grab stuff off the counter. Like everything's taken off that could be touched by other people. That's going to be related to food. So only the people that work there can touch those things. So they're taking measures to make it safer. Is it like safer than staying at your house? Probably not, because it's not your house and there's other people there.
Right.
But, you know, I think they're doing the best they can. And obviously, like, I'm not an expert in the medical field or like viruses and stuff. So that's not really an answer that I can give you, you know, go to someone else for that.
Hey, you've been hanging out with me, man. Anyhow, but you know, I'll tell you a story. My brother, who owns 3 restaurants, he actually had to close his restaurants temporarily, you know, till the thing's over, because he wasn't making any money. He says it was costing him more money to stay open.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The lights and stuff. He said he was making $20, $30, $40. You know, because you know, people. What happens is people start to decide. So, do I just want to eat fast food? Do I want to eat this Chinese? You know, there's this thing that goes in your head. You know, that list that you used to have in your head, the 3 restaurants you go to, that list just got rewritten.
Right.
You know, that list is like completely different. White Castle's now is like really hot. You know, McDonald's is hot. You know, Arby's, all the fast food restaurants are doing really good because
Chipotle,
because that's kind of what they were doing to begin with.
Yeah,
you know, drive-through work.
Yep.
But for my brother, for example, it wasn't viable, it wasn't feasible, so he's waiting it out, and you know, and he's I hope he can come back. You know, I'm sure he will. But
the government's probably going to help him out if he lets them know what's going on.
Yeah, I think with due time things will be going on.
Yeah.
And now, talking about governments, the stimulus check, $1,200 enough
for people. I mean, that's what I'm going to be getting here next week. I think I filed for unemployment. That's more than what I make at COSI. So
Hayden's like, yeah,
woo, a raise.
I got a raise.
Yeah. I think it's the best they can do. It's so hard when like this happens to like so many people. And could it be better? Yeah. But given the time and resources and the crisis,
I know you're not qualified to answer this question.
Yeah, I'm not qualified, but I understand why they made it so simple.
Go ahead.
Because like ideally you go like on a case by case basis and analyze and figure out like how much the family needs and like what's like appropriate for them, and what they actually do really need, because every person's different. But since you can't do that because it's so fast paced, you kind of have to paint broad strokes, and some people are going to fall below and some people are going to fall above, and they're going to be like me. And I'm kind of falling above, like I'm going to be getting a bonus basically. Okay. I mean, that's what it is, I guess. They're doing what they can to make sure that people are taken care of and not just ending up homeless, basically, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Kate?
I think it's a tremendously complex issue. And I think that they had to move very, very fast.
Yeah.
To get a solution in place. And what they're seeing is a tremendous amount of people who are without work and who are going to be struggling potentially to pay bills and to take care of their family. And those are very, very real. Those are very, very real issues, very deep issues. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's a perfect solution? No. Do I think any solution is perfect? No. But do I think that it will be a tremendous help to a lot of people during this time? Yes. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, my curiosity is what happens to all these big corporations? How are they? I mean, I'm sure they're affected too in some way or another.
Sure.
I mean, where's the fairness? Where's the line for me is you know, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about those kind of things, and I'm really concerned about all the laws and things that get passed while we're in this particular situation too. You know, all the riders that are put on bills and stuff. So I'm really nervous about little things like that because a lot can happen, and that can be taken advantage of in a situation when
There's pressure.
yeah, when there's
Yeah.
pressure
Right.
and when we're not in tune, you know, they're already notorious for passing bills at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. So,
Yep.
you know, there's just a lot of things. I think this is a time for us to be very retroactive, you know, be very involved, be very connected as much as we can without being bombarded with the information.
Yeah.
But, you know, I find that the stimulus, I'm surprised it wasn't more. Okay. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying thousands and thousands of dollars, but I'm surprised it wasn't a little bit more considering the fact that, you know, people are they're unemployed. They've lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, I mean, you basically have shut down the country and the financial ramifications of our decisions to save our lives is going to also have a consequence on, but it's something that it's going to happen. You know, when you take something to fix something, sometimes that happens. And I hope people understand that this situation is not easy for anybody, you know, so that's why I asked all these questions earlier on the show, because it all ties in. It all is connected. It's all my relations, you know, you hear me talk about, you know, all my relations and, you know, 6 feet of separation. Now we have 6 feet of separation, right? Where we have to be 6 feet away, you know, from somebody. This all affects everybody. This affects everything. Everything that's happening right now is recalibrating, remaking this world as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to come out of this the same. We're going to either come out of it some people are going to come out very cynical. Some people are going to come out very grateful. There's going to be a whole handful of things. The illusion is that everybody's going to be having this magical opening of their spirit and whatever. No, some people are going to come out very bitter and very upset and very frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be ready for that aspect too. I don't want to live in thinking that it's all going to be good, because it's not going to be good for some people. You know, it's going to be good for some others. And some people are like, oh, you know, because, you know, you and I have friends and we feel the same way sometimes. Oh, this has been the best thing. You know, I'm in solitude, blah, blah, blah. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, but there are another group of people who I know, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have this and I have that. Are they going to take my house? They say they're not going to take my house. They say they're not going to do this. But, you know, when time comes and the green light is that they give us the green light, can I retroactively recover and get back to where I was?
Right.
You know, that's a big concern for a lot of people. And some people are like, I'm surprised people are thinking about money, blah, 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 because money is the energy exchange that we have all agreed to use. Mm-hmm. And for some people, that is something that's very, very important, very important. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to knock anybody on either side of the fence, because for them, it's their reality. It's their real thing for them. Mm-hmm. And so I send and I love and I pray that everybody find their path and find their way, and to just be patient. I think patience is going to be a big virtue for us. We're really going to have to sit there and go, I know we're going through some shit right now, but I think in the end, if we all work together, and if at least I work in this process to do my part, then we're going to make it. We're going to be okay. I really believe that. I think it's going to be on you, Hayden, Kate, and everybody who's listening to our show, to be focused and to be understandable that your neighbor is suffering in ways that we can't even imagine, and you're suffering in ways that your neighbor would even imagine. So we have to be patient with people and understand, you know, and raise each other up the best we can. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a really important point, Iggy. And I think that the other group of people that we have to be really mindful of in the process is the folks who either are experiencing illness or have family members who are experiencing illness, or who may suffer very significant losses through this process. And there'll be a real grief process in a lot of ways for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I do believe that. Just because maybe it hasn't affected us personally or indirectly doesn't mean it's not happening. And each one of us knows somebody that has affected. That I do know. That I do know, and that I do account for, that I do know people who know people who know people. Now I sound like the president. Who have been affected, and and I'm glad I asked that question. And I know it's kind of a personal question. I understand that the questions I ask sometimes could be of a personal nature, but I ask these questions because I really truly want to know, because I truly want to be involved. And I think people really need an outlet sometimes to express. And the ones that don't want to express won't, regardless of what you ask. But it was really happy and really content and very happy and surprised that people were actually able to express that. No, yes, my cousin, my friend's friend. And so it puts a real picture on it, because,
Yeah.
I was getting to the place where I was like, is anything really happening? Because no one's really even said anything on Facebook. No one's really mentioned. And most people on Facebook have 1 to 400 people that they know. I have like 4,000 or 5,000 people that are in my friendship thing, but I don't connect with everybody. But somebody has to be affected by this, because they said, it's 1 in 100 people are affected by this virus in some way or another. So that's a lot of people, and one person to be affected, because depending where you fall in the numbers, you might be the one.
Yeah.
So I was really proud of Facebook friends and my, people who I connect with, that they shared those intimate places, because I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be an antagonist. I'm not trying to antagonize and cause problems. No, I really want us to talk. I really want us to share. I really want us to be in conversation and communication with one another, because if we're going to come out of this, we're going to have to come out of this differently. We're going to have to come out of this in a way that is not combative. It's not something that's going to harm us. We got to come out of this in a way where we can help each other, because a lot of us going to need help. I might need help. I don't know. I have no clue. I could get sick tomorrow. Anybody can get sick. Anybody we know. This could be my last show. Knock on wood. But we don't know anything at this time. We don't have any clue, and so these conversations and these shows that we're doing and this talk that we're having is very powerful medicine, because this is how we used to do when we were around the campfires. We would share and talk and find solutions to these answers and these questions that we were having and we were asking of ourselves. If we don't communicate and talk, we'll never learn from each other. We'll never grow. And, being in isolation is good to some degree, but eventually we have to come to these places and these forums and express and share where our heart will take us. Not to give everything away, but where our heart takes us and where we feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? Anything you want to share real quick?
I'm grateful that you have this platform to be able to talk about things and to share with people and just be open about stuff and, just have conversations, because I think it's important to have that. And I think the people watching probably appreciate it, and I appreciate it. I enjoy, working with you and being in this space with everybody. It's really a nice place to be. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to add before we?
I think, as many opportunities as we can to just give people the chance to be authentic with how they're feeling about things and how things are impacting them. And I think it's beautiful that you opened up that space and allowed people to really share about people in their own circles who are being affected. Because that can be a hard thing to say. It's a hard thing maybe to share for some people. And the reality is, even in this place of social distancing, we all still need each other. We need each other's support. We need each other's care and compassion. And we need to know that we have shared experiences with other people and that we're not alone. So to create that platform is just really outstanding. And I think that we just need to continue to do that for each other.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you guys. Because what I want to do on Friday's show, since we're all going to be in our homes, you can either watch Netflix or me. But I want to open up the forum. I want to do a town hall version of Iggy Garcia Live, where everybody who tunes into our show, I want to give them an access code when they tune in, and they can all join us and just make a bunch of windows. And, you just raise your hand when you have a question and you want to ask and share. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be very powerful. I think it'd be very fulfilling for people, because I think right now people are need a sense of community, a sense of connection, because even though you're stuck with a core group of people that you probably care about or don't care about, you're just probably stuck. But whatever, there are other people that you've had connections with, relationships with, friendships with, that you have not seen for a month and a half.
Yeah.
You have not had any way to communicate with them other than phone and text. This may be a good way to say, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. So this town hall, I can seat up to 100 people in this town hall. Okay, so this meeting space. So I'm going to invite everybody who's on the live stream, Facebook Live, on Friday. Okay, we're going to have questions and answers, whatever Q&A session with. If Hayden and Kate would like to return, I would like to invite them if they can. If you guys want to come back, I want to invite.
Yeah, of course.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, guess you're coming.
Yeah.
So I wanted to open that. I'm also going to ask other friends of mine who I'm going to have them to help us with the questions and answers. So anybody who wants to join us in this live event, and space is 100 people, and so 3 spaces are already gone. So there you go. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be really fun to see faces. I think it'd be fun to hear the different things and stories. I want to hear the people's stories. I want to hear what you've been doing. I want to hear what's been happening. If you've done anything for your community, if you've just isolated and not done anything. I just want to hear if you're in that space, because I think it would be an amazing platform. We have the platform, and I want to see the platform expand and everybody just share what's on their mind. Because I think people really want to share. I think they want to express what's in their heart, and they just haven't been able to.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So this Friday, around 8:00, well, I say around because of technical difficulties, we're going to do a live show, and we're going to fill this room up. We're going to fill it up to 100 people. And one by one, we're just going to go down the list. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, tell me what you've been doing, what you've been up to. Because this is a renaissance. Remember, I told you guys, this is a renaissance. This is an awakening. This is a download. This is everything that people have been sharing and talking about. This is what it is. This is an opportunity for you to expand. Okay, you can't stretch the rubber band and expect it to go back to where its original shape. You can't go back to your original shape anymore. Okay, those of you who wanted to be taller, I'm sorry, I can't help you there. For those of you who have a little weight like me, you can run, man. You can do some calisthenics, and I'm doing it. So get on the treadmill like me. If you need some motivation, I'll get you there. But anyhow, guys, I want to, unless there's something else you want to close with, Hayden, is anything you want to close with before we go?
I'm just gonna try to keep people in my prayers. I don't have a ton of control of what happens out there, but just sending good vibes and just wishing everybody who's watching here the best, and wishing everybody in the world the best for their development, because I don't know what's best for their life path and their soul path. So whatever they need, I hope that they get, and hopefully they get the comfort and warmth and love that they everybody deserves.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hayden. Kate, what would you like to say?
Oh, just very sincere gratitude. Thank you for having me today, and for creating this space, and just sincere gratitude for everybody who joined us today. And I don't know, I guess this time has made me think a lot about the things that I feel really grateful for and really thankful for in my life. And sometimes it's even the getting up in the morning and feeling the air in your lungs, and this is simple things that begin to have a whole lot of meaning right now. So I just have sincere gratitude for all of you, and thank you for sharing the space.
Very good. I appreciate you both being here tonight with me. I know it's short notice. You guys are busy with your schedules and stuff right now. I just have to say that.
Never gonna get old, is it?
No. It's just something you say, when you're doing the shows.
Yeah.
But those of you who are out there and you want to come on our show this coming Friday, I will put the link on the social media platform of Facebook there, on the time, not the timeline, but the live stream. So I'm having a little moment here. So I'll send you the link as we go. That way, no one will just jump in on randomly or unexpected. But yeah, everybody who's out there, just do the best you can right now with the situation in hand. You know, meditate, prayer, ceremony, light a candle, give thanks, and don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about you. Honor yourself in this moment, in this space, because it's easy to forget about ourselves because we're such a we're human beings are giving when they're put in certain situations. Also receive, and also take. Also be thankful for the gifts that are given to you that people offer you as well, because you're special. You own it. You earn it, and you have to earn it too, because we're all in this together. We all have the same walking papers right now. We all have our same, prescription. We all have our own. We're all in this. We all have the same ticket right now. The ticket is we're in our house. We're stuck here temporarily, and as soon as we get to our destination, we can step out and go, wow, this is different. This is cool. But that's where we're at. Okay, guys, thank you very, very, very much. You guys have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being with me here on Iggy Garcia Live with Hayden Moreau and Katie Hubner. Is that correct? Did I say that right? Hubner? Okay.
You got it.
All right, very good. Yeah, guys, love you very much. Love you guys, Hayden. Love you, Kate. Love you guys. Love everybody who tuned in. Thanks for the awesome questions, guys. And we will see you on Friday, hopefully. And I know I'll see these two for sure. Yeah. But we hope to see you guys Friday. All right. With that, I want to say good night. Have a good evening. Be well. We'll talk to each other soon.